My most humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Lord. Sai Ram to all. To continue my story about my first trip to the US, I landed in LA on the 2nd of December. Somni had sent some of her students to receive me at LAX airport, and then they drove me down to the ashram. This is a beautiful ashram set in about 50 acres of land on the Santa Monica Mountains, a few kilometers away from Woodland Hills and downtown Hollywood. Somni was given this 50 acres of land many years ago, and there is a beautiful story connected to this. This land is very unique. It's almost like Puttaparthi. It has got mountains all around it, and then there is a river that flows through the middle of this property, dividing it into two. So many of her students lived on either side of the small river, and in summertime, when the water dried up, you could just drive across the riverbed. This was a beautiful scenic land, and it was abundant with nature, beautiful flowering trees, and the peace on that land was unimaginable. So when I arrived there were like some 10, 20 students living in little cottages scattered over the land. And then Somni had built a small chapel on that land. So she would come on Sundays or on Thursday evenings when there would be EHV class. And on Sundays, many of her students who also lived in downtown LA, many friends all gathered for this satsang on Sunday afternoon. So Somani would be driven to the land by one of her sons or one of the students, and she would come, and then we would have satsang. There would be a small discourse by her on one of the topics Swami speaks about, or anything spiritually connected, and then she would conduct the bhajans. Swami, of course, was a maestro playing the organ and the piano. I told you she was a very famous musician in the 60s and 70s. So this, I was to attend the first bhajan session. It was like mind blowing. When the colored people sing, they sing with so much soul and heart. And when the bhajan started, half of them are standing up and clapping and dancing. And the music was unbelievable. It's nothing that I had ever heard in my life. And then Somni would stay for a little while, and around 6:30 she would go back to her house. So once I was there, I was blessed to be able to make a little snack for her and make tea. Somni loved our masala chai, so I used to make it for her and make her some snack, Indian snack like a samosa or pakodas, so anything, Indian. And she would take a small bite, and then she would, before leaving, she would come and speak to me. She also came across the little place which was just next to the mandir where I was staying, So it was a beautiful little room with a bath attached. That is it. And it had a nice garden around it. But it was right next to the temple. And in the temple, there was also a very large community kitchen which was not being used at that time. So once I went there, I was okay a few days eating the Western food, sandwiches and pizzas, but then I started missing our Indian food, homemade chapatis, dal, rice, sambar, whatever that I was used to eating. So I asked her, Swamini, can I start cooking here? And she said, of course. She said, just give me a list of all that you need. And I made a list, and she sent one of her students to go shopping with me. So everything was set up in the kitchen. Pots and pans and the cooking range and plates and dinner sets and everything. And I started. There was a huge fridge which I stocked up with all the things that I wanted to make for Swamini. and I started cooking there. Because see, in our tradition, to make prasadam for the Guru or God is considered a very great blessing. And I really love to make food for Swamini. And then what happened was when I started cooking, it's not possible for us, most of us Indian women, to cook a little food. Every time we cook a little, it will always turn out to be much more. So I started cooking, and then slowly, the students and families who lived there, they would smell the food and they would all trickle in and they would ask me, Jayashree, what are you making? So I would tell this. And they all wanted to, sit and have a taste of the food I was making. So this became a routine. I started to make in big pots. Of course, the first portions made would be kept as prasadam for Bhagwan and Swamini. And then whoever came in, I told them they were very welcome to help themselves to the food that was cooked there. So I was enjoying my time, and very often Swamini would invite me to her house. So I would take the food and go there. And this was my routine. I was there for about a month. And every night, Somini would call me. She would call me about 10:30, 11, and she would talk about many things, her life experiences. Mostly it was spiritual talk, all that she had experienced on her spiritual journey. And I never realized these talks were going on for hours and hours. And finally she would say, oh, it is 3:30 or 4 o'clock. Time for the Lord. Time for your meditation, Jayashree. Go and meditate, she would say. And then she would hang up. So I would walk down to the mandir, which was right next to my little place. And I would go in there and meditate. And sometimes many other students also came in to meditate. And then around 4:35, I would go back to my room and continue my normal routine. One day, I had gone in to meditate, and while I was sitting there, I saw a vision unfold before me. I saw this beautiful land with mountains in the backdrop, and there was this mandir exactly like Prashanthi Nilayam on that land. And I was wonderstruck, I said, why am I saying Prashanthi Nilayam? And after I finished my meditation, I went back to my room, and as I opened my door, the phone was ringing. It was Swamini on the phone, and then she asked me, what did you see just now, Jayashree? So I said, Swamini, I saw this building, like Swami's mandir, and on this land, so behind her little temple was this flat ground with the mountains behind it, and it was like, more than enough land to build Swami's Prashanthi Nilayam mandir on it. So she said, yes, this is the reason why you are brought here. Swami wants you to build a replica of the Prashanthi Nilayam mandir here. And now you know why I had to bring you here. I didn't know what to say, because for years I had this vision in my head that, I would like to build a temple. I had no idea where it would be, where the money would come from, nothing of that sort. But this, temple vision had stayed in my head. Of course, I did not know it would look like Prashanthi Nilayam, just a beautiful mandir where people can go in and meditate, and they would find their God. It didn't matter to which religion they belonged. All were welcome. It was an open temple, like a religion of multi faiths. Like anybody was welcome to go. Muslims, Hindus, Jains, Christians, all were welcome in this temple, and there was no statue or idols in the sanctum sanctorum. You could go in and find your God. So this was the vision I had in my head. And then Somini said, I want you to get started on the plan of how we are going to do this temple on this land. I hope you enjoyed this story too. Swami bless you all. Please share my videos with people who would be interested to hear this. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Sai Ram.